Hello and welcome to Have a Chat. We're so happy you've tuned in with us today. I'm your host for Have a Chat today, Judy Loge, with my beautiful, lovely co-host, Veronique Arsenault.
Thanks, Judy. So glad to be here with you, of course.
Yeah, and the weeks just roll right by. It just seems like we're sitting on set, and here we are again.
Exactly, yeah.
So welcome to all of you viewers, and we're in the lovely Rogers studio in Miramichi, and it's airy in here for such a hot day, but we'll talk about the heat. First of all, give us your quote, Veronique. You picked a nice one, I think.
Oh, that heat is just beyond. But anyway, yes. So, okay. And I don't have an author on this one,
Okay.
but from what we get, we can make a living. What we give, however, makes a life.
I think that's Winston Churchill.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah,
I do.
entirely
I'm pretty
possible.
sure it is. So,
Yep.
so that means that we can just get our paycheck and we can just go day to day and we can survive, or we
Yeah.
can really make our life worthwhile and fulfilling in various ways. And you and I try. Like, we try hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've told the story many times, but you know, how I ended up back here 18 years ago is, you know, at that Christmas, just before I moved home, you were getting the volunteer award from the city of Miramichi at the time. It was the New Year's levy.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about, because you had been volunteering for 20 years by that point, and that was 18 years ago. And I remember you talking about the fact that, you know, volunteering was wonderful, and it was something that, you know, you really enjoyed doing, and how much it gave you.
Yeah.
Right?
Filled my cup.
Yeah, it filled your cup because of what you got to do for other people and the impact you got to have in the community. And I remember looking at Mom at that point and saying, I want to feel like that. And she said, well, do something about it. And I'm like, oh, obviously. And so then I moved home 6 months later. But it's that act of being able to give to somebody else, you know,
Yes.
really makes your life feel a bit more fulfilled.
It does, and I thank you for letting me be an inspiration to you,
Always,
Veronique, because
yeah.
you've certainly come like a leaps and bounds and above in your way of giving back to the community.
Thank
you know,
you,
just
yeah.
extremely generous. And I do think, I'm just going to be point blank here, I think some people are very self-absorbed, and it's a me world, and it's as long as I get, and as long as it's me, and as long as it's around me, and I'm giving and giving and giving to myself, then there are people out there like that. There are those people. And I don't quite get it, but that's their life, that's their choice. But then there's those people that would put anybody ahead of themselves. They would take the you know, here's the last bit of food because I would rather you have it than me.
Yeah.
And I know lots of those people too. So it's trying to find that balance of being satisfied with what you have and need in your life.
Absolutely.
And giving back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So on another note, we just alluded to the fact that it's been very, very hot,
Yeah.
and it's been a heat wave.
Yeah.
And continuing on.
Yeah, and it's been very humid.
Yes.
And you know, it's interesting. Like I always I try not to complain because I find the winters so long and hard. But I also realize that, you know, I'm quite fortunate. But I am good at about 25 degrees.
I know.
You know, maybe 27 is pushing it for me, but we've been up around like the 37, 40 degrees for a bit. It broke there for a bit and it got cool again, but now it's cranked back up, and I realize that it's the summer and all that, so I'm not, you know, I get it. But it's hot.
I just keep thinking January, and it's like, let it be hot.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
But
you're right.
listen, you were out jogging. Like, can we just speak to that? It was before it got burning hot outside.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's just go with the fact that you are really keen, Veronique, first thing in the morning on a severely hot day.
I think the word you're looking for there is crazy.
No,
but,
it's not. I was impressed to hear what you
thank
did.
you. Well, and it's funny. So I mean, 2 years ago I started. 3 years ago now, actually, I started walking every day because I just knew I needed to get moving, and I sit a lot for work and for council and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I started walking, and I wasn't, you know, I was pretty dedicated to it, but I wasn't like, you know, as I guess committed as I am the last year. And so then a year ago, or almost a year ago in September, on September 1st, very literally,
Nice.
I started doing, I thought, oh, I'll just try it for this week.
Yeah.
And I started doing 10,000 steps a day, right? That I had to hit that. And then I got through that first week, and then I, just kept going. So anyway, all this time later, I've been hitting at least 10,000 steps a day. But then about 4 months ago, I started running again. And I ran years ago. Dad and I did a couple of races together and all that. But I'm not, I'm a very slow runner.
That's good. I don't want you to see your hurts breaking your joints up.
Very slow runner. And And I don't love it. I'll be honest. I don't love running.
I love watching you though. It's
Yeah,
great.
thank
I'm sitting in my house with my
Thank
fan
you.
and my air conditioning with my cold cup. There she goes.
Yeah, well, yeah, there she goes. But what I do love is the feeling of accomplishment at the end of it, right? And I know that I've done something really good for myself.
Really good.
And so I started building up, and I would run for 30 seconds or whatever, and did that for a while. And anyway, and then got to about 3 kilometers. I was like, okay, this is not bad, right? But I don't run every day. I walk every day, but I don't run every day. And then hit the 5 kilometer mark there a few weeks ago, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to see how I feel, right? And gave myself a bit of permission, leeway there to either walk parts of it or turn around and come back home, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I got through it. And it was so hot, but I got to run. I was running along the paved trail that runs through, past the Rod and up past the Hollow and things like that, and got to see lots of people enjoying the paved trail, which was great. And and at the end, I did manage the 9K. I will say though, there's a hill by our house.
Yes.
Right, and it's actually two hills. So there's a hill and then a little
Steep
plateau
too.
and then a hill. So it's at the end of my run, and so I did walk up up those because I thought it's not good if I just go splat and don't get back up.
No.
But the rest of it I did manage to So I did 9K in an hour and 25-ish minutes.
So congratulations on
Thank
all
you.
that, very neat.
Thank
I'm
you.
really inspired by you doing that. Like I said, I try to walk.
Yeah.
And I do love my walks. I like a fast-paced walk, but I do a leisurely walk with my dog because she has to get some exercise. So we've been going out early in the morning before it gets burning hot, or later in the evening.
Yes, yeah.
But she loves it. But this morning I had to drive my nephew, who is one of the very fortunate young people that gets to go to the Fringe Festival in Scotland.
Yes.
They leave with the Miramichi Valley teacher, Chris Matheson.
Yes.
Their drama club, I believe there are 7 students heading to first London for 3 days and then Scotland for all kinds of activities. So they're just so excited.
Yeah.
But my sister worked this morning. She said, do you mind driving Trent to meet the director for drama? They're going to get costumes fitted, I believe, in Moncton.
Right.
So I'm going to get Trent on his road. And there's this young man walking, like extremely good looking, fit, buffed, short shorts, like a wife beater, like a tank top on, and muscles just ripping, okay? So, but I was intrigued with his dog.
Oh.
Because I'm a dog lover. I
Yes.
wasn't looking at the man as much as I was a dog, but didn't I bypass the street, go to Trent? So so I'm late getting Trent because I'm looking at this, well, he thought I was looking at him, this man, but I was looking at his beautiful dog.
What kind of dog?
He was like a sheepdog, like mine.
Aw.
So sheepadoodle. So I had to reroute and go by the man again. He thought I was stalking him or something.
Judy!
Yeah. So he knows my vehicle now. It's like
Yeah.
that old woman was,
Yeah.
scoping me out. But yeah, it was quite a funny moment. I was telling my
my
nephew
goodness.
about that.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so going from very light, fun, some laughter to the very disturbing news that took place in Pennsylvania on Saturday night, and that was the attempted assassination on former President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Absolutely, and it's it's terrifying and it's horrifying, and political violence is kind of on the upswing. It's there's a very people feel it very comfortable in saying whatever they want online to politicians, whether they like them or not.
Yep.
And absolutely, have passionate feelings about issues in your life or what you want to be associated with. I understand that piece, but I don't understand like the
Hatred.
the violent hatred that seems to be coming out now more often than not. And just horrifying to think that someone tried to end somebody else's life.
But okay, I'm going to just say it on air. I was not surprised. I'm sorry. I don't mean because of Donald Trump. I mean any public figure that's in such a political rally, and there's so many people, like you said, opposing parties. Whether it be Joe Biden on the stage talking, it could have happened to him, or it did happen to Donald Trump, which was horrifying. But what I'm saying is, I'm not surprised. I find the world is just, like you said, ready to attack no matter what. And there's that. You would consider this, I believe, an act of domestic terrorism. The boy was 20 years old. Apparently, according to facts that we've heard from the U.S. information site, that he didn't have a mental health issue that was known, recorded anywhere.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what they find, as they dig deeper into this, and the suspected shooter is dead. They did kill him on site. So it'll be interesting to see what they find, I guess, as they investigate. You know, there's so much that needs to come to light. You know, it's hard to understand.
Just hate crime. Like I can just see him saying, personally, like this guy in my mind would have said, I can't stand this man, I don't want him. And I mean, it's obviously ridiculously violent. It's just like John Lennon and those people, those innocent people standing there. It's horrifying. But I think it was just like, I'm going to take him down because he's not my kind of guy and very unstable.
Well, it's incredible. Like incredible in the worst possible way.
Yes.
And just, you know, glad that former President Trump is okay.
Very bad ear injury, right?
Of course, yeah.
Really close call.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But, you know, he just got right back up there and he's going to power forward, and that's kind of terrifying in itself.
Well, and I think, you know, we've lost the ability to debate issues, right? Like it's got to be about the issues, and it's gone, you know, into the realm of the personal and the, you know, and the personal attacks and the personal feelings and the, you know, we've lost the ability to debate issues. And really what any election should come down to is, you know, the issues at hand and how best those can be solved.
Of course.
Right? Around policy and around concrete actions and around, you know, driving forward solutions, not just I hate all of, you know.
But it's not
and
those
it's not.
things you mentioned.
No, it isn't.
It's anything but. It's and this young man, I mean, he was a dietary assistant in you know, a nursing facility. He had a degree from a college, like where he came from, a very affluent neighborhood, Bethel Park in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and so affluent family life. Like, you know, imagine how his family feels.
I can't imagine. I really can't.
If that was your child. And then this other dear man that was there, a bystander, 50-year-old former fire chief. That was killed.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, he was killed, and he drove in to protect his family and ended up dying, and that's really heart-wrenching too. And two others were very injured, so it could have been a much more terrifying scene.
Yeah, and you always, you know, that's always the issue too when you get into a crowd, right? Is that if there is an emergency, is that kind of panic sets in, and then other people can be injured from just that panic of trying to escape, right? So it's really just hard to imagine what that scene must have been like. And you know, again, just thankful that that the former president is okay.
Yes.
Because violence is never the answer.
It's really sickening, is what
violence
it is.
is never the answer.
Yeah, I just pictured
that. I oppose his policies and his what he supports in pretty much every way possible, but never the answer to you know, to injure or kill someone.
No, you'd rather see him in jail than in a coffin, to be blunt.
Yep.
So, Veronique, there are lots of things coming up, and we're just about
so much going on.
So much going on. But again, as we talked to not long ago, Karen Howe, about the Irish Festival, and you being the former president, that's going to draw again, just to bring everyone to the fact that it's coming up real fast to get your tickets to different events.
Yep.
Well, you and I are going to the David Miles concert on August 4th.
Yes, yeah.
We have tickets to that.
Looking forward to that. Really excited
and
about that.
And that's part of the festival.
The Folk Song Festival.
Festival.
Yeah.
But that's then. But the other is before.
So the Irish Festival kicks off, the 41st Irish Festival kicks off this week, and we did have Karen on last week, or a couple of weeks ago, which is great. On Friday at Legion Branch number 3 is the corned beef and cabbage, and I love that every year, and it's a huge fundraiser for the Legion, so a great way to support veterans. And then the opening ceremonies kick off at 6 on Waterford Green.
Nice.
And then Friday night they have Miramichi playing, which is going to be fantastic. And then Saturday is the family walking parade, and they have hundreds. I think we had close to 800 people in that parade last year. So families get together and clans, as they say, and then free entertainment all afternoon. Perfect. And then in the evening they have, it's gone now. The Mahones and
Descendants?
The Irish Descendants. Yeah, and then Sunday, Middle Island is going to be having a family afternoon, which is going to be wonderful. Lots going on there, lots of entertainment. And on Saturday, just before I move on from that, is the powwow for Natwaganeg. And so that's you know, beautiful. If you've never seen a powwow or been to a powwow, absolutely please do go. It's just outside the city limits here in Miramichi, and the grand entry is at 1 o'clock. And you know, the drums are so powerful.
I love drums anyway.
You know, they're so powerful, and the regalia and the dancing.
I know.
It's beautiful.
It's all
So
beautiful.
so much going on this weekend.
Mom and Dad, if you're listening, they do love the corned beef and cabbage. So
Yes.
how do people go to pre-order, or is there a phone number to call? Or?
No pre-order. You just go.
And the hours again, Veronique, at the
11:30 to 6.
Oh, that's a long time. And
Yeah.
you work at that, don't you?
Yeah, so this I am going to be serving on Friday. So
Good.
working the window and serving that day. So 11:30 is when we kick off, and it's Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Now Saturday they will go until they run out, right? Because people, I mean, it's busy.
Yes.
You know, so but it goes 11:30 to 6 on Friday, and then it starts again at 11:30 on Saturday.
What would be, of all the things that you've attended to, and as president, what is your favorite part of the Irish Festival? Your most, like, this stands out, I can't wait for this moment one.
Yeah, I love the walking parade. I love
Yes.
seeing all the families come together, and then everybody ending up downtown on Waterford Green, and then the entertainment kicking in.
Yeah. So you must be really glad, Veronique, that you lived away for a long time, but you've been back here how many years now?
18 years.
And no regrets?
No, I would never live anywhere else.
You like to travel.
I do.
And you like to go afar.
I do.
But you would never want to leave Miramichi.
No, I love coming home. Like, I love to travel, there's no question, because I love to go out and explore and see all the things that are out there. But when you come home, you know, it's incredible, like the warmth of the people, the support of the people, the you know, the knowledge of the people, and how willing people are really to jump in at any moment. But it's amazing, you know, it's as a community and as a region, really. And so now that I've been home this long, I can't imagine living anywhere else.
No.
I'd love to go away. Very much like to come home.
But it's nice for the viewers listening, and we're going to go to break there right away, but for those people listening that say, that would be a nice place to live in a community where you feel like you belong and there's so much happening, and yet it's busy enough but not crazy busy like in the big city. So a plug-in for anyone who's listening that we're in Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada, and it's a phenomenal place to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
and it's growing.
It's growing, and you have stayed, and there's many reasons why you have, which you just spoke to.
Yes.
So, and I know many as well that say we're so happy to be in the Miramichi River. It's beautiful in every way.
Well, and you feel like you can help your neighbors, you know?
And get to know your neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go to break. We have two phenomenal guests coming up. So as Veronique always says when she's hosting, go grab a cold drink or a warm drink and join us. We'll be right back for more Have a Chat. Hi, thanks for tuning back in to Have a Chat. We're always so happy to have you with us. I'm your host for today's show, Judy Loche, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, who always, you know, brings life to the set, Veronique Arsenault.
Well, together we do.
Yes, together we try and we do.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
We have so many shows that they range from everything from mental health advocates to sports figures to whatever, but people seem to love the real life, everyday humanity stories.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
that's why I thought it would be so important to have our two guests on with us today, who have joined us with their very busy schedule. Talk to us about something that is an ever-growing problem. It's an epidemic globally and locally, and that is homelessness. And we have Crystal Reynolds joining us, and she's joined by her daughter, Shaundra Crawford. Both are really strong advocates for the homeless and activists. So before we get into all that and all the great work you do, share with us a few things about yourself, Crystal, that people might not know about you.
Okay, I'm a mother, born and raised in Miramichi, mother of 3, grandmother of 7.
Ooh.
7.
7.
Yay! That keeps
I know,
you
I
busy.
look too young, right?
Yes, you do. I'm with that. Yes.
I worked retail for almost 20 years,
Yeah.
and then, I don't know if it was a midlife crisis or change or whatever, so I switched careers, and I am now at MBCC as their student life officer.
Change is great.
I absolutely believe change is good.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not a midlife crisis. It's a necessity,
It's-
I think, that to change
It
it up
was
every now.
at the time it suited its purpose, and it's only gotten better.
Right on. And Shaundra, your daughter, how nice to be on here together.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself personally.
I am a mom of 4. I have 8-year-old triplets and a 7-year-old.
8-year-old triplets.
Yes!
8-year-old triplets
8-year-old triplets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
and a 7-year-old. So busy. Very busy.
This is a quiet time right now.
Yeah.
Was that a shock for you,
that
Yeah.
you were having triplets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was.
Yeah, okay.
Any in the family, twins, triplets, anything? down the-
Twins.
Twins runs
Twins,
in
yeah.
mom's side, but nothing.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
just real quickly, because we don't know many triplets, did everything go really well and smooth for you?
For the most part, yeah.
Yes, having those babies.
Yep.
That's amazing. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
That's the I'm a stay-at-home mom
Yeah.
for the most part, and
Awesome.
yeah,
I'm sure they keep you very busy.
they do keep me very busy.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure. I have no
So you girls continue on. I'm going to adjust my headset here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Crystal, talk to us a little bit about, what a student life officer is at MBCC, and I'm sure you love that job. So tell us
I
what you get to do.
So the majority of it is helping out with student union. Campus activities. I get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You're the
but
fun
I-
officer.
I'm the fun officer. Officer is kind of a
Yeah,
coordinator. It's kind of everything else, but they do. It gives me a chance to connect with the students. We're normally the first ones the students see coming into campus, so if we're not able to help them, we're able to send them off to where they need to go, to who can help them best. But the majority of it is we're seeing that vulnerable side of them as well. And in doing that, we have, counseling. We've got food resources. We've got clothing resources,
Yep.
and student life officers are part of that. Miramichi, we were in the last couple of years, we've seen an influx of help needed for food resources. So we were approached by the Greater Miramichi Food Resource, Pastor Albertine LeBlanc, and she asked if they seen our students accessing some of the other outside resources. So they asked if we could, if they could help us,
Oh, wow.
which in turn we are helping anywhere between 200 to 300 students. And I run 2 food banks out of my office on
Really?
campus.
Pretty
Yeah.
impressive. I've heard of
That's
it, and I think
incredible.
that is incredible. Wonderful.
So one is our emergency food cupboard, which is all students are, full-time students, who are under the student union qualify for that, and they apply for that, and it's on an emergency basis. And then with the help of Albertine, we've been able to open up our cupboards a little more and have literally an open shelf for the other students who don't fall under that. Anyone who's coming in for part-time classes don't fall under student union. We're able to help anyone who's actually taken a class through at MBCC.
Right on.
So and they don't have to apply or nothing. Just come on in and
Great rewarding
and
job to give
absolutely,
that food out. And
absolutely.
it's so important. It's a necessity. Shaundra, so I'm just taken with the fact that not only are you a busy, busy mom of 4, but along with your mother, you are not just a spokesperson for improving the lives of those that are living on the streets, but you are hands-on doing work like I've never seen before, actually locally. People do great things every day, but this is unusual because you go right out into the street to work with those who are in need, less fortunate, hungry, no home to go to. How did this all start for you, this journey of being in Miramichi West and going to help every other day with the people out in the street?
Well, it started with a pot of soup that I made one night, and I just wanted to go out and share it and meet some people and help out. And so I called my mother up and was like, hey, do you want to go for a drive? And let's go looking for some people. And that's how we started. And
Well, and that must have been the hard part, right? Because they didn't know to come to you at that point,
Yeah.
right? But was to go out, you
It
actually
was-
went out and found people who needed help.
yeah,
Which
and for
wasn't
the
easy.
for the first couple of weeks, we were out like every other night trying to meet people and find people who needed help and just getting to know everybody. And then we ended up like, hey, we're going to be here at this time on these days. Like, can you guys help spread the word? And the guys that we were meeting, the people that we were meeting did do that. And from the very first night, we had a really great turn up. And it, like that first night, like there was people coming to see us and to meet us that we had never like met on the streets
Right.
while we were getting to know people. And yeah, it kind of blew up from that. We ended up adding a second day, and we started to get to know Claudine from Jeremy's Mission and getting to know other people that are out on the streets. Because it's not, like, I know me and Mom are very loud and like, hey, this, you know, like,
We're here.
here, the you know, like, the homelessness is in Miramichi.
Yes.
It's like, because a lot of people just want to ignore it. But it's, what we're doing isn't that unusual, because there are people in the community that have been doing this for longer, maybe not the meal setups and stuff,
No.
but there are people in the community that are doing regular outreach. And we also, aside from just the Sunday nights and the Thursday night dinners, we also do, you know, we're out checking on our friends, seeing if anybody needs anything, especially on like really hot days lately, because we've been getting a lot of heat
Yeah.
waves.
A lot of water runs.
Yeah.
A lot of water runs, yeah. If people need help getting to the food bank or to medical appointments, we've been helping out in that way. But there's other people out there doing that as well, other than just.
But I don't know
us.
them, and the people
Yeah.
that I know that do that are church-based,
Yeah.
and they're just amazing. They open up their church, no matter what denomination. They'll say, "Here's a certain day, we will feed you," and the food bank's incredible as a resource. But I personally don't know people that are out there working with those in those situations where they're with nothing,
Yeah.
no home, no food, no good clothing. I don't know. And do you know other people that are out there?
There is this group, of course, the two of them, of course, and then there's other groups, so like Claudine with Jeremy's Mission,
Yes.
but there's also, I know that there's another group called Helping Hands on
Yes.
the other side of the river as well, that is
Good.
doing a breakfast program right now.
But I mean, they're out checking on these people about,
Yeah, no,
you know,
absolutely,
like,
yeah.
like almost like your children. You know, how are you feeling today? What are your thoughts? How are you injured today? Are you too hot today and all that? So
Charlene Summers, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She's actually, I believe she's the head of Autism Resources in Miramichi, and she does a lot of great outreach work, and she helps out Claudine with Jeremy's Mission so much. Alana Carson, she's been working a lot with Claudine, and she's also been doing
Beautiful.
a lot of outreach work. She's been coming down to the suppers with us lately to,
Okay.
you know, if she needs to check in on somebody and whatnot, she'll come down and
just
there's
really good-hearted people
there's a lot of people out there right now
sharing kindness,
Yeah,
making a difference in those lives of the less fortunate. Here we are, you know, dressed well. I have food in my stomach. We all do, you know. So blessed if we don't stop and take time to think about how very fortunate we are, do we?
Miramichi really knows how to come together and and help and
Well, you're certainly doing an incredible job.
Yeah, and Crystal, so I mean, it's I guess a bit ironic that, you know, your student life officer position involves some food insecurity assistance as well, and I think, you know, a lot of people don't understand what food insecurity would be, right? So for, you know, food insecurity is when you really just don't know where your next meal is coming from, right? It's as basic as, and so, and then now you're out, you know, as Judy said, the two of you are out doing this work very unintentionally in the beginning, and you know, but tell us, like, how many hours a week do you do this? How do you get the food that you're serving? Like, how can people help you do this?
At first, it was just us jamming into her kitchen, trying to make meals and piece them together, and then go down to deliver. And about a month after we started, Shaundra had started a Facebook page, and just to bring try to bring more awareness. Because at the time there was a lot of negativity going around with the Out of the Cold shelter about to open and stuff. So, and it was veered more towards some local businesses. But we knew there were local businesses out there who didn't feel the same way, and they were, you know, and people who were trying to help. So they were asking for. We wanted help with getting the positive words out there, not to veer away from the negative.
Right.
So on that, once people started, like, how can we help? How can we help? We want to be able to help, but how we can't. So it was easily.
a lot of people
prepare a meal.
Yeah, a lot of people had offered to cook a meal, and so I did up like just a schedule. I was like, okay, well, whatever days that people pick up, I won't have to cook that night. This is great. I think what was like within a half an hour that I posted the dates for like, I had posted the dates for like an entire month. They were all taken. Like they were spoken for.
Wow.
It was, yeah. And
And then Christmas had rolled around,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we were refusing donations of turkeys and Christmas meals. We hosted a Christmas Eve dinner that Veronique was
Very
gracious enough to come help us with.
I was mashing potatoes.
Yeah,
in the
well,
kitchen.
Got her upper
mashing-
body workout for
Yeah, I
sure.
did. I couldn't move actually the next day, but yeah, I was mashing potatoes
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
What a special thing to do for Christmas, though.
Yeah, and it was great. We had opened up the Knights of Columbus Hall and was able to bring, it was a place to keep them warm and just to sit around and feel like someone,
Yeah.
right? They weren't spending Christmas alone.
Beautiful. We have a few minutes before we go to break. Shaundra, let's touch on some of the misconceptions around homelessness. There are people that, this is because of this, and they're there because of that, and why are they there? And what are some of the various reasons that people, there's many.
I find the biggest misconception that we keep seeing is people are equating homelessness with addiction.
Yes.
And that is 100% not the case. And I'm not oblivious. I'm not, like we all know that there are people who are experiencing homelessness who are also addicts. But that's not everybody. There are so many things that can happen to affect somebody's life to lead to them being homeless. Like we see a lot of seniors.
Oh.
We see a lot of seniors actually coming lately that aren't living on the streets, but just can't that are just experiencing food insecurity, that if they had to buy groceries, they would be homeless. Because a lot of
between medication or food in some cases.
yes, people
right?
are having to
And
make a
other
lot
things,
of hard choices. Mental illness,
Of course.
the housing crisis. There are not places to rent here. There have been multiple people, so many people just since we've started that we've met that work full time, but can't find a place that exists to rent or one that they can afford to rent. And so there's people working full time, living in the shelters or living in their vehicles, and it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
It's insane.
I was talking to a woman last night, in fact, that has her own average business, an average income, but is struggling big time because of a place to live that is not, under what, $1,500 or at least $1,500, $1,600, $1,800 a month to rent, and that's just for a small unit, and then where does she go? And she's a working woman who has a business that she'd like to run from her home. She might have to give that up because of the cost to run it and all of that. So this is a person that's been, in college and graduated and took a course and all of this stuff and still finding it really hard to make ends meet.
There are also a lot, lately there's been quite a few instances. There are our apartment buildings in Miramichi are being bought out by people in other cities and other provinces. And the people who are buying these apartment buildings want to fix them up, which is okay, great, but they're turning these apartment buildings that were affordable, they're buying them, kicking everybody out, saying, hey, you have this much time to move out, and we're just going to renovate, turn them into luxury apartments, and triple the price of rent. And there were quite a few people that we've met that had become homeless that way, and quite a few more that are about to become homeless very soon because this keeps happening. Like people are just being kicked out or will give a notice, right? But then there's nowhere for them to go.
No.
Because
And
there's
to touch on
very
what
little affordable housing.
Yeah, and to touch on what you said earlier, education and your wealth, and that means nothing to homelessness and food insecurity because there is no prejudice against that.
Exactly.
Everyone's affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's
true.
incredible. Yeah.
We don't have very
Okay.
much time.
Yeah, no, we're just about to go to break for sure. But and we'll talk a bit more about affordable housing and where we need to make some improvements from a government perspective as well, and how how we spur that on.
And once we come back from the break, which we're going to go to, I do want to speak to the fact that Veronique, most recently I said, do you want to go somewhere with a public event happening? And she said, no, she said, there's somebody I'd like to meet and talk to. And it was actually a young man that she met that was homeless, and nobody knew about it but me.
Yeah.
Maybe you did, but she went down and spent time with a person to hear his story. And these are the things about Veronique that you may not know. That no matter what she has going on in her life, there's always someone that she puts ahead of herself. And I just want to give you a shout out for that, Vernie, because I can't imagine how wonderful that was for that young man and for you. And we'll talk more about it. Okay, folks, do not journey very far because we have more Have a Chat. Join us very, very soon with Crystal and Shaundra, Vernie Kanai. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for Have a Chat. I'm your co-host for today, Judy Loche, and I'm always happy to be with my co-host, Veronique Arsenault.
Happy to be here too.
And we're really into a great discussion on advocacy for homelessness, which is, like we said earlier, it's not just every other place, it's everywhere in the world, right, that we see and hear about it growing daily. We've been having a great chat, and we want to talk to you ladies about another person that does great work in our community, and that's Claudine Morris. And she has this group or her own little mission that she calls Jeremy's Mission. And I don't know anything about that, and I don't have the good fortune of knowing Claudine, but you two have worked with her, know her well. Who would like to talk about Claudine and Jeremy's Mission and what that actually means? The story behind it.
So Claudine she is a saint. She is amazing. She is full of love, and she is out at that waterfront park there every morning from Monday to Saturday. She does it 6 days a week. She wakes up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to make all these breakfasts, and she does up breakfast sandwiches and coffee, and she brings sweets. A lot of the time she's got clothing or like anything that people donate that she can give out to help out. You know, she's always got like lists on her Facebook group of things that she might need or that people are in need of. And she's there from 9 o'clock in the morning till sometimes 11. I know lately she's been running out of food a little earlier sometimes. Her numbers are climbing. There's a lot of people in need of a meal. And it's so much more than just breakfast for her. She's just spreading love and being there. As I know, there's a lot of time people will be having a nap in her car, and she's just full of love. She's full of love, and she is there to support with a hug and a conversation, and she's just
The greatest act of humanity.
Yeah.
How long has she been doing that now?
I want to say almost 2 years, I think.
What
I
age
think.
group would she be? Don't give her age away, but what would she be, in her 50s or 60s or younger, or how?
She is. I'm not going to speak on anybody's age.
No,
I'm answering that question.
No, but I'm just saying, like you're young women, and so I'm just thinking that I don't know if she has children that are growing up and if she has lots of time to do this, or because, my gosh, here you are with triplets and you're so busy, but you're doing it. But I see, like you said, some older people in our community that are really pitching in, and I consider myself one of them, older.
She is from a slightly older demographic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good for her then, to get the energy to
Absolutely.
get up and do
Well
that every
done,
day.
Crystal. Well done.
I think
Your father would approve.
Well done. No, it's important to point that out. She's not a young teenager that can really,
She's-
say, I've been
Yep.
there myself. She's just a woman of age that is
Absolutely, yep.
incredible.
Well, and so I know Crystal through a variety of means, including the fact that she's in ground search and rescue with Dad, right? So it's not like Crystal was sitting down doing nothing before she started this either. So she's pretty active in the community, which is awesome. So let's talk a little bit about some of the resources, and you brought
Absolutely.
we talked a bit about food insecurity in the last segment, but
Yeah.
and again, food insecurity is that fancy way of saying that you have no access to food and no idea where the next meal is coming from.
Exactly. So Rodrigo Miranda, who is I have to look it up here. He is the Community Food Security Coordinator, which is a brand new position formed about 10 months ago. A recent graduate from MBCC, so I'm glad, I'm so happy he came to
Yes.
reconnect with me with this greater Miramichi food, accessible food resources. He's single-handedly gone out over the last, it took about 6 months, and all these rumors of folks that he's, was hearing about doing what Shaundra and I are doing, like different church groups. And so on campus, we had known about some of them, those who reach out to us. So he went around to everyone, and there is a list of close to 20 different little organizations and churches and single folk like Claudine and Shaundra and I that are helping with either clothing or a meal, a take-home meal, a sit-down meal, breakfast, summer breakfast, lunch, and dinner, depending on where in the city you are and at what time. You
He
can
also has the pantries
Yep.
listed, the different food pantries that we have
Donate
around
to?
in the communities.
Yeah, some
That's
of the
a really good idea,
daycares
too.
have the little food
Yeah,
cupboards
Kinder Tots
and whatnot.
often will post
Yes.
that they've collected
Yep.
food and filled the pantries.
I
where
love
they
that
can.
idea.
Yeah,
And it's
amazing.
spread to outside of the city as well, not
right.
just, we always think of inside the city because that's where the majority of the resources are. Olivia's Pantry in Sunny Corner,
Bless you.
run by the Baudettes, that is just started about 6 months ago.
Okay.
Wonderful for that community up there, and they've seen a huge influx of use. There's also the Boom Road Pentecostal Church
Yes.
has theirs, I believe it's the first Tuesday of the month.
Oh.
They may not, some of them may not be every day like us.
Yeah.
It's volunteer work, right? So
Yeah.
it's you chisel out your own time to help out. But the majority of the folks that are doing it have no problem chiseling time out to do what they're passionate about, because it is a passion.
And
Not everyone can do it.
no.
We've had emotional evenings out there, and when we first
can't
started,
even
it was heartbreaking. And one of the lines like she always uses the line, not every homeless is an addict, and not every addict is homeless. And I'm always using the line, what do you say at the end of the night when you're when you're pulling away to go home? Like you can't say have a good night, because for the majority of them it isn't.
Yeah.
We don't have to struggle to find a blanket or to find something to get warm from, or in this case this week
Stay cool.
to stay cool and get out of the heat.
My
Or the
goodness.
rain. To stay
rain.
dry.
We've had plenty of wet nights.
And
It's-
I can't imagine, especially like we've had some real torrential downpours. Like
Yeah.
it's just been incredible to see.
Flash
it.
floods.
Yeah, and you whine a lot. Like when you get wet, like you stay wet. Like there's no drying out for days. Like it's tight and it's uncomfortable.
It
you know,
is.
and like you whine a bit and you think, oh, suck it up.
But like we discussed earlier, off camera, there's infections that happen with that. There's illnesses that come just from the weather. So and if you don't have quick access to medical care, it's difficult. We've lanced a couple of boils. We're both first aid trained, and
We keep
in
a
emergency.
very large, very well-stocked first
sure.
aid kit.
I'm sure.
Well, just the sun alone, the sun burns and all of that, and athlete's foot or trench foot with the
Absolutely.
wetness and all of that, and cellulitis from small cuts that can't be treated, and salve put on it, and all of that. That's going to be a huge component of this
And
problem.
a lot of our homeless folk, and even some that aren't homeless, but part of their income is recycling.
Oh.
So they're climbing into these bins looking for bottles, and that's where we see some of the injuries, right? Whether they fall in or out of a bin, or they're getting cuts that aren't being looked after, that may look, tiny. Oh, that's not gonna bother me. It's only a small cut, but over time, persistent infection will sit in.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
There's just so much to talk about with this whole
There is.
situation. Just
Yeah.
quickly, where does the clothing come from to help those out that need?
Donations.
Like you just go and ask
Folks,
people, anyone?
We don't even have to ask
Oh.
anymore. We literally had her garage. Thank goodness she has a big garage.
That's
If it's-
amazing.
yeah,
Small, shapes,
yeah.
sizes, ages.
Absolutely.
What would be your
Yeah.
youngest person that you would have to feed and clothe? Wage group. Teenagers.
Teenagers, yeah.
And they because they tend to age out of the system, right, at some point, and so then the resources that aren't enough anyway, but that are in place are no longer available to them, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah. Shaundra, pretend for a moment that you're one of these people that you and your mom help every day or every other day. And just pretend that you're a young man, say 40. Tell us a story. Tell us when you sit down and you're there over food, or you're there looking at a wound or whatever, some of the conversations that might take place, just for example.
For example,
Yes, a one-on-one.
some people talk about how they lost their house, how they lost their family members to drugs, or, you know. Some people talk about growing up in the system, in
Yes.
foster care, and aging out without a safety net, and not having the skills or the knowledge or the support that they need.
Right.
Other people talk about their animals. Some people might tell us about 30 years ago when they did have a job and a stable home and a family, and you know,
How
like
they lost it.
Yeah.
See, I'm a bleeding heart, so I'd want to bring them all home if I could.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, you go home and you leave them there. And do they ever do they ever expect more than you can give? Like, do they ever say, you know, can we go home with you? Because seriously, they know that there's probably space somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't start doing that either. You'd have everybody, right?
You do have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, boundary.
For everyone's safety,
Yeah.
not
course.
only ours, but theirs as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can only offer up so much, right? And it's hard. It's hard to find that point where you have to say no.
Step back.
Yeah.
So you talked about, you know, over the winter you had a lot of support. People were making meals and things like that. So right now, how do people help you? How do people support this?
So we do the meal setups Thursday and Sunday nights. For the most part, I do most of the cooking for the meals.
And how many are you feeding on Thursday nights?
At least 20.
You have a good husband. Puts up with that. I see you later, honey. Feed the kids. I'm going to have to feed some other people. You make dinner.
He packs the van for me
Aw.
every meal night.
Good man.
He packs because we've got like bins of clothing and supplies and first aid kits and cutlery and the table and the benches, and because we set up a whole table and bed, like we sit down
It's quite the
together.
setup actually. The van, the back of the van opens, and then they've got the table out there, and they've got, and then everybody gets to sit, you know. And
So he loads up the van, and I cook, and Mom does pickups on the way, and we all everybody has their own job, and we all meet up in the parking lot, and I pick up a couple of individuals who used to be homeless
Yes.
when we first started this journey. Now they have places to live, so they actually come down with us, and they will help us set up the tables and set up the benches and unfold, and you know, they'll help us serve food, and it's great. We've got our own little community.
Is
Yeah,
just as
absolutely.
important as the food and the clothing and the help that we're offering. The social aspect to be able to sit and have a conversation with someone without being judged.
Right.
Zero judgment whatsoever. Whether you're having a good day, a bad day. You know what? Come tell me your happy stories. Come tell me your sad stories. Come vent. I vent too.
yeah.
And we play music
I-
and we dance, and
Aw.
some nights, most nights, we have music playing somewhere.
So if somebody wanted to make food for one of those nights,
So we do have a Facebook or a messenger chat. Like we have like a group chat, and we've got a great group of volunteers. Because like I mentioned on the Facebook group, people were offering to make meals, so we did up a schedule. After that schedule had run out, the Out of the Cold shelter had opened, and so we did up a new calendar for people to volunteer to provide a meal for the Out of the Cold shelter instead of for us, because they needed
It was every day there.
It was
Yeah.
every day there.
Yep.
Yes, and we are still out, like we said, like we are out and about doing the rounds and whatnot and doing check-ins other than our meal nights, but
The
And-
Facebook page, or sorry, the
The
Facebook
Facebook
group,
group.
Helping the Homeless.
Helping the homeless is the name you can go under.
Yes, and you can search that on Facebook and
Okay.
send either Shaundra and I a message or directly onto the group. and
So during the Out of the Cold
Offered.
shelter, there was almost every single night there was a meal that somebody from the community had. There was many people that were like,
Fantastic.
"Hey, put me down for every Wednesday," or there was quite a few people that were like donating weekly.
Makes me feel good.
It was wonderful, and
And
there
what
was
I'm
so
seeing-
much help. While that was happening, we didn't want to have two schedules going on, so we had like a little group for our group of volunteers that wanted to continue to help out with the library meal or the parking lot meals, and so we have a group chat, and
But there's also
people-
a couple of community kitchens as well, right? So like I know that there's one, I think it's United Church in just on King
we
Street.
can look it up.
On King Street. On King
yeah,
Street.
probably on the list.
Yeah,
Probably
on
the
King
list.
Street, and they do it on Mondays, where they have like a warm meal, like a supper.
Yes, yep, and there's two churches on Wellington, I believe
Yeah.
it's like
Beautiful.
Tuesdays
Yeah.
and Thursdays.
Yeah.
The Skyway to Heaven Church
Yeah,
does
that
theirs
one's
as
on
well.
the former airbase.
Some really good groups around.
Yeah,
here.
there's
And
yeah.
we have to leave and leave you both. I just want to say that what I see happening here is not just what you're doing out in the community, but you're also perpetuating role modeling, because here you are, Crystal, setting the bar high to say go out and help. You have followed her footsteps. No question your children are going to follow the same path. They're watching you and seeing you and what you're doing, and that's to me the most wonderful thing anyone can do is give back. And so I think that's just going to lead to them doing it, and probably their children and their children's children. So you'll continue on with this. You have no inkling to stop or step away. You're going to
If the
keep
need
on.
if the need is there, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. So I just want to say thank you for your work, and I know, Veronique, that you do an awful lot of work in our city.
Oh, yeah, but nothing compared to what they do.
No, but you promote well-being for
yeah,
all of the
for sure.
individuals, that we're all equal, that we're all one, and how very blessed that we are to be sitting here and to get your story out there, that there is a constant need to help those who are, living in less fortunate situations. So you must feel very good going to bed at the end of the day. Even though you leave those people, you have to have a full heart.
We do.
You do. So I'm really thankful for both of you. Thanks to Veronique for joining me. Thank you to all of you for seeing us here on our Monday chat. And you'll see us all week. Come back again for more Have a Chat next week. Bye-bye.